जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय राधा वल्लभ श्री राधे Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Prala Narsimha Dev Prala Narsimha Dev Prala Narsimha Dev Prala Narsimha Dev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Mr. Pada Paramahansa Stotra Sri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki ISKCON Founder Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Mr. Pada Paramahansa Stotra Sri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki Sri Sri Gaurita ki Sri Sri Radhula Bhagwan ki Sri Sri Jagannath Bala Subhadramaya ki all goes to assembled devotees, all goes to assembled devotees, all goes to assembled devotees, all goes to Sri Guru Śrīmad Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, and chapter 7. The title is What Prahlad Learned in the Womb of His Mother. And today's verse is 24. So, the title of the book, Science of God, and today we are not only understanding or studying science of God, but we are also trying to understand science of soul. In a few verses before, so it was discussed about Atma. So Dvija Prabhu talked about Atma, referring to both Paramatma and also individual living entity. Atma and Paramatma, individual living entity and also Paramatma. So both of them. But today's verse in particular is about understanding, the process of understanding soul. We all can see physically body. Then we are saying there is a soul, there is a living force. Where is it? How do we understand? So that is the verse today is focused on. So therefore, when we say science of God, along with God includes it's God's other energies. We have Antaranga Shakti and Bahiranga Shakti and Tadasa Shakti. So how do we understand the Tadasa Shakti? This verse in particular is offering us process as research methodology. So we will try to understand through that verse today. So first, we will read from, before we move on, so let us invoke auspiciousness. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let us read word by word and then we'll go full verse. Anvaya Vyaktirena Vivekena Ushata Atmana Swarga Sthana Samamanehe Imsard Biha asatvareha anvaya vairitikena anvaya vairitikena vivekena atmanaha vivekenostaha atma Swargasthana samanir Swargasthana samamnir Vimsra buddhir asarvataha Vimsardirbir asatvareha Anvaya vayaktirekena Vivekena sutatmanaha Swargasthana samanir Vimakte sabdir asatvareha Anvaya vayaktikerena Vivekena sutatmanaha Anvaya vayaktirena Mataji Sara Prabhu. Anvavektirena Vivekena usatatmana Anvaya vektirena Vivekena usatatmana Swargasthana samadiniye So now word to word translation. Anvaya directly. Vektirekena and indirectly. Vivekena by mature discrimination. Usata purified. Atmana with the mind. Swarga creation. Sthana maintenance. Samam nayeha and with destruction. Vimsarat biha by those making a serious analysis. Asat vareha very sober. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. Sober and expert persons should search for the spirit soul with minds purified through analytical study in terms of the soul's connection with and distinction from all the things that undergo creation, maintenance and destruction. Purport: a sober person can study himself and distinguish the soul from the body by analytical study. For example, when one considers his body, his head, his hands, and so on, one can certainly understand the difference between the spirit soul and the body. No one says, I head, everyone says, my head. Thus, there are two entities, the head and I. They are not identical, although they appear to be one conglomeration. One may argue, when we analyze the body, we find a head, hands, legs, belly, blood, bones, urine, stool, and so on. But after everything is considered, where is the existence of the soul? A sober man, however, avails himself of this Vedic instruction. Yato va imami bhutani jayante yena jatani jivani yat prayanti abhisamvanti tad vivijena sva tad brahmeti. So this is from Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 3, section 1, verse 1. Thus he can understand that the heads, hands, legs, and indeed the entire body have grown on the basis of the soul. If the soul is within, the body, heads, hands, and legs grow, but otherwise they do not. If a dead child does not grow up, for the soul is not present. If by careful analysis of the body, one still cannot find existence of the soul, this is due to his ignorance. How can a gross man fully engrossed in material activities understand the soul, which is the small particle of spirit, 1/10th the size of the tip of a hair? Such a person foolishly thinks that the material body has grown from a combination of chemicals, although he cannot find them. The Vedas inform us, however, that chemicals combination do not constitute the living force. The living force is the Atma and Paramatma, and the body grows on the basis of that living force. The fruit of a tree grows and undergoes 6 kinds of changes in the presence of the tree. If there was no tree, there could be no question of growth, maturity of fruit. Therefore, beyond the existence of the body are Paramatma and Atma within the body. So this is the first understanding of spiritual knowledge explained in Bhagavad Gita. Dehinam smin yato dehe. The body exists because of the presence of the Supreme Lord and the Jiva, which is part of the Lord. So this is further explained by Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 4. Maya tatnam idam sarvam jagat avekteha murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham tvesha avastitiha. By me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. The Supreme Soul exists everywhere. The Vedas enjoin Sarvam Kalva Idam Brahma. Everything is Brahman, or an expansion of Brahman's energy. Sutre Mani Guna Iva. Everything rests on the Lord, just like pearls strung together on a thread. The thread is the principal Brahman. So he is the supreme cause, the supreme Lord, upon whom everything rests. Mateha Paratatram Nanyat. Thus we must study the Atma and Paramatma, the individual soul and the super soul, upon whom the entire material correspondence rests. So this is explained by the Vedic statement, Yato va imami bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti. Om Ajnana Trimindasya Jnananja Salakaya Chaksurulmitamena Tasme Sri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapada Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswadevi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachata Deshatarini. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavanda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, as I mentioned, so this verse is offering us the process of understanding this living force. Of course, we all can see our gross body, all of us can see gross body. And inside you will also see beautifully the whole process also. Even if you just take this garland. So this garland is a collection of flowers. Collection of flowers of different color. And where are they resting? The thread, correct? If thread is not there, they all fall apart. So similarly here also there was analogy given. So we are living entities. That living force is a combination of super soul, Brahman, and the individual Jiva. When these two entities do not exist in this body, body is simply a dead body. So that is beautifully explained. Then if you go back to a couple of verses before, from verse number 18 to yesterday, and that was verse 22. And all of them are actually giving us different analogy of how to recognize the presence of living force, presence of this Jiva Atma in the beings, in the living entities. So the first one, so when we have this material body, so it starts with verse number 18, starts with saying it undergoes 6 changes. So usually a living entity is born, so there is a birth, then of course it exists for some period. During that period, it grows, correct? So like 50 years ago, we were just like a small baby, at least I was. Then slowly you come to midlife, and then you, of course, grow, then produce some, further creation. Then, of course, at some point, dwindling and finally finished. That is when the body is no more useful for this living being, so the soul will leave. Just like when shirt is fully torn, correct? So you might still wear, some holes are there sometime. If you do kartal very strongly near your heart, there will be hole. But the hole grows and slowly you think, oh, this shirt is very old now. Either you buy a new shirt or somebody will present a shirt. You throw it away and then get the new one. So that is what first verse is saying. So here it is also emphasizing that won't happen without a tree. Like if you take up a flower, flower exists when there is a tree. So this flower has come up because there is a tree. With that tree you can see many, many flowers. So there is a tree, the source of existence for these flowers that from bud, so they become flower, then they grow, some of them grow into seed, then they become a fruit. That's why we get mango tree, mango fruits, different fruits, correct? So if you analyze, so that the tree, the source. Similarly for our body, so the source of the living force is Atma. So in one of the verses which Dvija Prabhu himself discussed very nicely, verse number 19 and 20. So there it was, Atman was discussed. But there Atman means not just our Atma, but also Paramatma, Supreme Atma. So you can say both Atma and Paramatma are one Atma, yes, definitely. But one is Paramatma, Supreme Atma, other is a tiny Atma. So this is, of course, Lord Krishna has many verses in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam also has mentioned that what are these tiny entities. So he said they all are part and particles of me. So that was explained. Then after that we look, and then verse number 21 talked about what is the different process that one expert uses to get something from, say for example, gold. Right? Earth. The big earth is there. Where is gold? Australia is known to be a place where a lot of gold exists. In fact, this whole Melbourne was created because of gold that was found in that Vraja-ra. So people simply open land. And then people just come to go to some place and then build big city, big facility. A lot of people from all over the world come and assemble in the place when they find something valuable. So if you see the history of Melbourne for last 150 years maximum, at that time the whole existence of Melbourne was simply because of that gold in Ballarat. But so to find that gold, you need to have an expert. The expert geologist, that is discussed very nicely. A geologist is very expert in identifying where the gold is. Not only identifying where the gold is, but how to separate that gold from the rest of the material, like rocks, mud, correct? So they also give you process. So not only discover, but the process of extracting. Similarly, Prabhupada said that if you want to see what is the living force inside us, you need an expert. Any common man, materialist or atheist or who has no bhakti, who has no knowledge, they can't easily find. So that is what emphasize that one need to be really truly spiritual person to understand that. So just to turn on this mobile phone to broadcast. If you just first time come, you don't know how to operate this. First you have to start with password. Who has a password? Only if you devotees have it. Correct? That is opening up. After opening up the inside, there are so many programs, so many applications, which we call apps. You have to turn on the right app. Still, that is not going to work. If you broadcast, where is it going to go? Then there is one more computer there. So there again you have to log in and set up YouTube. Right? You have to create, set up the environment. After that, you start broadcasting. So much of step process involved, just for simple this digital broadcasting. Now what to think of the understanding this spirit soul that we can't see at all. Only we can see gross body. We all say gross body, right? So we can see this is soul, full body, then we can see leg, we can see head, we can see eyes, we can see ears, we can see nose, we can see mouth, correct? All of that we see. We can see nails. Especially nails grows. So we can see all of this. So, but whereas the soul is not visible at all. So this is then after that, verse number 22, that was yesterday discussed about this energy. So of course, we all know material energy, correct? We need electric energy, electricity. Electricity is energy. Correct? So even our ear is also energy. The sound is energy. How do you know it is energy? If you increase that blast high, we can't even, we have to close our ears. It is coming so much of force. So sound is also energy. These all are energies, material energies. Then, of course, these energies are operating under different modes. Like, for example, sound is energy. Now, if somebody speaks to you, it feels very pleasant. I want to hear more and more. If somebody speaks very harshly, you say, no, I don't want to hear this, same sound. Sound is same. But the sound comes with different modes. That's what we say. Sattva-gun. If someone is speaking Sattva-gun, so he speaks very pleasantly, he appreciates you, whatever little seva you do, even if they offer you a glass of water, they appreciate. Then if they give you with lovingly, then you drink. But if they give you in ignorance, hey, drink if you like. Then you say, I don't want. Even if you thirst, you say, I don't want. Correct? If you go to some home, even though you may be full, you had full of Radha Vallabhas, say, Mahaprasada, then you visit one of the devotee house, they offer you something with lovely. Then out of love you accept it, even though you are full. Whether you are Lord Sri Krishna or a beggar, if something is offered with love, you will accept it. If you are not with love, you can't accept it. Even Lord Krishna didn't accept. As we know, when Lord Krishna went to Hastinapur to negotiate the situation of this Mahabharata war going to begin, at that time Duryodhana was a prince. So he tried to bribe Krishna. How can he bribe? So he organized opulent feast. So he invited Krishna. Krishna, come and have with us. Krishna says, no, I don't want to have. But on the other hand, he went to Vidura's house, a small hut, Vidura is not a king or a prince to have a opulent house, opulent prasada. But there he was very happily ate simple food that is given. Not only simple food, his wife, as Vidura's wife, immediately she found banana. She just peeled banana, then gave that banana, the skin to Krishna. Krishna happily ate and then threw that the middle core. Correct? That's the love and affection. So all these energies that we can use to interact with others, and that is what yesterday's verse discussed. So now having understood all those, now today's verse is almost like last one in terms of understanding soul. So starts with saying, Prabhupada says, a sober and expert person. So that is important to understand. What is this sober? So the sober person, here, Asat Vareha, the last word. Asat Vareha. Asat Vareha means very sober. Sober. Sober means a person who is not intoxicated. A person who has not drunk alcohol. You can see a person, say, so in the cities, say let's say they are working from 9 to 5, so that time they are a little bit in sober state. Correct? So they are not that much intoxicated. So they might have drank coffee, possibly most of the time water. So they're a bit more sober. But after that, they might go in the evening to pub and drink alcohol. The same person, his speaking, style, the kind of words he uses to speak changes. So here the sober person is the one who is not intoxicated, whose mind is clear, not clouded. The moment you intoxicate, their mind is clouded. They attack all kinds of nonsense. Correct? So they might promise you also, they might abuse you also. Also something will happen. Sometimes they will say, I will make you promise to Australia. Or if they are working in some university or some office, they will also promise you a lot of things. So it doesn't make any sense at all. But of course they promise and talk like a haunted man. But one who is not intoxicated, with clear mind, such sober person is the first one. So next he says expert persons. Not only intoxicated, not only not intoxicated, there is no intoxication, but also expert. These two are important to understand. Correct? So that means like a devotee is a sober person. So if you see the qualities of devotees, 29 or 30 qualities of devotee, one of the quality of devotee is sober person. Why is called sober person? So the devotee or Vaishnava is following 4 egotistic principles. One of them is no intoxication. So that is why you can say devotee is sober, because he is not intoxicated with alcohol. If at all if intoxicated, he might be intoxicated with love of Godhead. A pure Uttama Bhakta. They are also intoxicated. When they are intoxicated, they also sometimes, Krishna, they will say loudly in somewhere in the middle of meeting or middle of nowhere. Sometimes we think, oh, this person became mad of Krishna. In fact, some of the devotees will say, the purpose of life, the goal of life is to become mad after Krishna. If you become mad after Radha Vallabha, then your life is successful. Correct? Usually we don't want to become mad. So mad of a woman, mad of a Krishna. Correct? So if you become mad after Krishna, mad of Lord Vishnu, so such a person has achieved the divine highest. So he can't see anything else apart from Krishna everywhere. Krishna, 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 they are searching. So that is how the greatest devotees exhibited those qualities. So now, sober person is also intoxicated, but spiritual intoxication. Others are intoxicated with material energy intoxication. So now coming to a spiritual person, a devotee who is pure, so who is not intoxicated with alcohol, and such a person, and also such person also expert. So just like geologist is expert in finding out where the gold is, and the software persons are expert in for how to create applications that can be used for various purposes. And then like Dvija Prabhu is expert in how to hand over the spiritual books to others. Like that, everybody has some expertise. So that like that expertise. Such person should search. So do what? Search. So that is what we call research. Search, like a scientist. Scientists are the one who is doing search. Search for existence of different energies in the nature. That's what science means. Like if you ask, what is science? What is the definition of science? It's a process of understanding nature. It's the science. That's why this is called as science of God. Science, the process of understanding Atman. That is Supreme Atma and Paramatma. Correct? So that is why Prabhupada is given the title, so science of God. So that science means the process, the natural process of understanding God. So how do we understand? Sometimes this is the direct instruction. This is very complex actually. If you try to read, understand. So unless you break into small phases and analyze, it's very hard to understand this translation. Correct? So if you read just once, so there is so it's just only one statement. But loaded with, each of the word is loaded. If you read, sober and expert persons should search for the spirit soul with minds purified through analytical study in terms of the soul connection with and distinction from all the things that undergo creation, maintenance, and destruction. You see, this is such a complex statement. So just simply understanding the statement is so difficult. So that is what expert person knows how to divide and conquer. This is a process. Whenever something is very complex, how do they do it? You can divide into small parts, then win over it. Sometime if you get hundreds of people have become enemy for you. If you try to fight all those hundreds of persons with your own energy, you won't be able to fight. But if you want to win, the process is you can divide them, create a trouble among themselves, correct? Then you can fight each one of them separately and finish. That's how you win. So that in the warfare strategies, divide and conquer. Correct? If you want to dominate, that's what they do. Even in the complex problem they are trying to solve, also divide and conquer. Because it's very complex, so here we want to understand. So the process is given analytical study. Prabhupada says, you try to understand or search for spirit soul through analytical study. So analytical study requires us to divide and conquer. So then the first verse itself says, sober person can study himself. Study yourself and try to distinguish soul from the body. And we all can understand, we have this body and physical, correct? Physical, we can see ourselves, correct? So you can see you have a weight of 40 kg, 50 kg, 10 kg, you can see you have a weight. So we can see all the physical. But there is something not visible to us, how do you understand? So here process is given. This is commonly devotees used to, the beginners to make them understand, what are you, who are you? They try to ask, what is this? This is my hand. Correct? Then they will ask you, what is this? This is my speck. So what is this? This is my shirt. What is this? This is my dhoti. And what is this? This is my finger. What is this? My leg. We are saying this all. My leg, my hand, my ears, my eye, my hair. But what is this? Me. So if you try to split the body, where is it? So here Prabhupada also talks about, so usually when the living entities are created, say a baby is born, a human baby, or a cat baby, or a dog baby, or hog baby, or a bird baby, they all are born. But if usually we expect them to grow, with time, they should be growing. But if there is no soul and super soul inside that baby, there is no living force, can baby grow? No, it only deteriorates. Correct? Usually when baby is born, we think that is the life of baby is 0. Then after it passes for 12 months, then we say, oh, baby now became 1 year. Actually it is 2 years. In some country culture like Korea, South Korea for example, the moment you are born, they will not say date of birth is June 1st or what is it, July 12, 9, 2023. They will say July 12, 2022. So there they think 1 year, So sometimes we say 9 months, the baby is conceived and grows inside the womb of mother, then comes out. Because baby is not coming like a shuttle, correct? There is a physical baby. Isn't it? When the baby is born, there is a physical, it already has some weight, it has everything. Whatever we got, baby has. That's why this chapter title, Prahlad Maharaj, what he has learned in the womb. So all the spiritual education he already finished in the womb itself. So whereas the baby which is born at say 9 months, 10 months, 11, 12 months. So when they appear, then what do? They start crying. Where I am? So they were very comfortably living in the womb, all provided, taken care. But the moment they come out, they start crying. Isn't it? So now here, the baby that appear, so can only grow if the soul, the living force present. So the presence of living force is essential for those undergoing changes, appearance, existence, transformation that is growing from baby to boyhood to youth to then mature man to then slowly old man, like that. So all this transformation can take place only if there is a soul. At any stage of this transformation, from the coming out of womb to the end, so any stage if the soul and body lives, the person is, we say, died immaturely. I mean, everybody, in our last chapter we discussed about, everybody is given 100 years. Right? The grant 100 years. So 100 of years of viewers is different from 100 years of ant. So ant's 100 years is maybe 4 weeks, 20 days. And our 100 years we don't know. Up to 100 years. But due to some reason, either due to disease or due to maybe our life is only 50 or 60, 70, depend upon situation, that can change. So those are very nicely talked about. Now coming to this search. So search, so usually this is called vimarsya. So vimarsya word there indicates. Vimarsya is, so mature discrimination. So you should be able to deliberate about this, investigate about it, then decide what exactly it is. So the process is finding out what you are and what you are not. So usually Krishna says, okay, this body is simply a vehicle for the soul to move. Now that the soul has come into this existence, a living entity came into existence in this material world, and then the body is awarded. Body is a gift. We say this body is a gift given to us. That's why we say body is the temple. And that is why we are putting tilak and decorating it nicely. Correct? If it is not a body, then we won't do it. So this is a body, the gift given to us, to Krishna. So that is why this body also should be used wisely. Just because gift is given, we can't misuse. We have to use gift as intended by the gifter. Usually somebody is donating you, here is the land. I am donating it to you. For what? Not for selling and enjoying. I am donating this gift with condition that you use it to build a Radha Vallabha's temple. Or the government will give to Melbourne University. I am donating it to the government of Victoria, donating on behalf of all the citizens of Victoria to Melbourne University for what? To build a building for study of divinity, for example. Or somebody will gift for finding out cure for next pandemic problem. If you study everywhere, if somebody is presenting, they are presenting for purpose. So similarly here, the Krishna, Supreme Lord, has presented this body, especially human body, to us at this moment. If you go back to previous life, you don't know what we were. So here you will also see that there are 8.4 million species of life. So everyone has undergone sometime ant body, sometime monkey body, sometime maybe dog, hawk, cow, then finally human form. And then Prahlad, what he has learned? He learned in the womb that this human life is most precious. Durlabha manava janma. He is saying that. So therefore, O fools, do not waste this human form of life, which is very precious, and use that form of life to understand what you really are through this research. And today's verse is search, vimarsya. And the process of vimarsya is through analytical study, systematic study. So that systematic study is simple, as we discuss, understanding, oh, this is my body, this is my hand, so this is also my hand, left hand, right hand, and this is my ear, and this is my nose, like this. But what is that me? They're saying, my, what is that me? And identifying that me is the goal. So if you are able to identify, then that is what is called living force, Atma. Without Atma, you don't exist. That living force, the moment the living force finished, then, so we are finished. Now, so through this analytical study, it also says, you try to understand the connection of this soul, connection of our Atma with what? With the things that are responsible or things that undergo creation, maintenance and destruction, the last, annihilation. Even this universe, you try to understand this soul in connection with this universe. So universe appears, stays for some trillions of years, then annihilated. Then within universe, so there are various living entities, various forces, various planets. What is the lifetime of these planets? Some planets appear and disappear also. Correct? Sometimes the star, like a small planet, at some their life is very small, so they get destroyed also. Right? If you see, watch the sky, so many millions of billions of, we can't count, so many stars are there. So some of them, stars, sometimes it feel like star is falling down. Watched anybody night time? So it's because life is finished. So even that is also a energy of Lord. And it is positioned in truth energy, even this earth. And we all know that, you see, oh, here is earth, here is moon, here is sun, here are different planets. And they are floating. Lifting this, Vyasasana is also so difficult. If you ask a baby, Surabhi, come and ask her to lift this Vyasasana, can she lift? No, she can definitely lift this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Correct? So we need energy. So now this earth is floating. It seems like it is floating, but there is energy that is holding it. And we need to search for that energy. So this is what some of the scientists like Newton and Einstein, the greatest scientists also did search. But by doing this greatest study of creation of the Lord, how it is being maintained, how it is united, by doing that study, they have become God conscious. Like for example, Einstein. Einstein is a famous scientist. He is the one who is proposed this E equal to mc square. And he was the student of Bhagavad Gita. So he read Bhagavad Gita thoroughly. After discovering such thing, then he concluded that whatever I propose is actually minuscule, insignificant in front of what Supreme Lord is creating. So all the greatest scientists were actually devotees also. Not only scientists, people like this mobile phone. What is the mobile phone? Who is the manufacturer? Apple, correct? Some have got Apple phone that is called iPhone. And who has designed this iPhone? Steve Jobs, correct? And who is this Steve Jobs? He's founded the company, but he designed this mobile phone, he designed some of this iPad, Apple computers. They become very famous, richest company in the world. And he became a richest man. And people asked him, what is your secret of becoming the richest? Please tell me the secret formula. So to a friend has asked him, he said, please go to East India, then study spirituality. So when you study spirituality, your mind becomes calm. When your mind is calm, then only you can create something complex, something useful. Correct? So that is why we say, Lord Krishna says, when our mind, when can it become calm and peaceful? When the mind is steady, correct? And when can mind become steady? When it is guided by intelligence. Intelligence that is spiritual, more importantly. When can our intellect become spiritual? When our mind is more and more focused on divinity. So when you are divine conscious, where our consciousness is fully focused on divine, then we will gain that intelligence that is spiritual. And when our intelligence is spiritual, our mind becomes steady. Otherwise, our mind will be like a monkey. Monkeys are never satisfied. You go to, here it is difficult to find monkeys in Australia, but you visit Vrindavan, full of monkeys. Correct? And if you don't give them what they want, immediately they will come and snatch your speck. How many of you experience? You go to Vrindavan, put your speck and royally go around, immediately your speck will disappear. It happened to me first time I went to Vrindavan. I was warned already. Then I took it and put it in pocket and safely, went everywhere. Then I thought, okay, the tour of Vrindavan, let me go to Krishna Balaram Mandir. Then I sat in auto and going. Then that time I thought monkeys won't come. I put it and just going. Then one monkey climbed the auto and snatched the left hand and took away. Then how do you get back the monkey, this speck? Because without speck we may not be able to see. Our senses are imperfect. Correct? You go to Radha Vallabha, not clearly visible. Correct? So that is why we see human senses are imperfect. Sometimes they become imperfect when you are a 5-year-old or 10-year-old. Correct? You see some of the small girls and boys, they have speck. So Hayagreva doesn't have. But I have to put a speck to see whether Hayagreva has speck or not. Correct? So now if I want to see, without this we can't. So we have to put a speck to see. So speck is necessary. And these monkeys are also very smart. Don't think that humans are smart. And monkeys also have a team. So the first monkey that took, it went and stood on one of the big column. There are 2 columns and there was one slab. They sat there. Then of course auto wala know how to. So he pulled one chapati and thrown. The monkey, what did monkey do? Immediately pass this speck to other and catch that roti, chapati. So now it is not give, the next monkey has this speck. Then you pass to another monkey. That monkey pass it to other next monkey. So like this, 9 chapati over. Now the 1/10 one monkey is holding this speck. So we can't make it give. So that time this Hatawala, now this is pleasing is not working. He took danda. So he tried to hit with danda, then in that time while jumping that speck fell down. So then we had to search where this speck fell down and retrieve it. Right? So monkeys are also teamwork. They also know. Correct? And they also know that if I help you this time, next time you want to help me. Correct? So they also know this art of helping each other. So they team up, they help each other, they rob a person. After that they will go and enjoy separately. So that is like a thieves. So they also follow that approach. Anyway, so these senses so these monkeys are so smarter. So now this creation, maintenance, destruction, we have to see what is the connection of the soul with those. So in that context, Prabhupada here in the purport, so he gave this verse from Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad. So which says, Yato va imami bhutani jayante yena jatani jivatani yat praptani abhishamanti tad vijana swaha tad brahmeti. Brahmeti. So Brahmeti means Brahman. So this Brahmeti. So understanding what is this Brahman, of course we have to refer to Vedas and Upanishads in particular, this Taittiriya Upanishad. So this Taittiriya, why is this called Taittiriya Upanishad? Taittiriya is actually the bird. So so this Upanishad, that's the name why this Taittiriya came. So here there was a saint called Vaishyampayana. So Vyasadeva had many disciples. One of the primary disciples is Vaishyampayana, so who became expert under the guidance of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the one who originally put together this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, correct? What we read is Prabhupada's translation of that Sanskrit to English and then a purport. The original Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the original Vedas has an author, correct? Everything has a creator. So this Vyasadeva disciple, so he has a disciple called Vaishyampayana, and Vaishyampayana also has a disciple, and his disciple is Yajnavalkya. This Yajnavalkya was a very expert. He not only became expert in Upanishad, the Vedas, but also he had realized it. Jnana and Vijnana. Correct? Jnana is there. The book is there. I read it, but I am not understanding anything. When I am able to understand and realize it, that is called Vijnana. So that Yajnavalkya became really Vijnana. And one day, somehow, the Guru was not happy with him. He became very angry on him. Sometimes Guru become angry. He becomes so much of angry, he said, you get out and leave all the knowledge that I give you here. Right? Suppose you have given me, say, one person $100, and that person is not pleasing you or creating problem. He said, get out of this and give me my $100 back. But during those ages, the asset was the Jnana, the Vedic Jnana. He said, okay, get out of my ashram. Give back the knowledge that I give you. And this Yajnavalkya, what did he do? Now how to give this Jnana back? It's all in the mind. He said, through his Vedic knowledge, he vomited all the Jnana. He just vomited and walked away. And this Vaishyampayana, that is for his guru, so he can see that not only the Vedic Jnana, but also Vijnana, both are there. Then he immediately asked his disciples to take the form of partridges. Partridges, that's bird, partridges. So they look like this, if you have not seen. Correct, these birds? He asked them, please take the form of this bird. Then do what? Eat. Correct, if somebody vomits, the birds come and eat. Correct, you have seen? You go outside somewhere, you vomit. Let's say you ate nice Mahaprasada, then also some rice, then maybe not chewed properly, and hurry you ate, and then vomit. And the bird will come, pick up, they will see, where is the food, they will pick up. So that was the disciples there, because he can see there, Jnana and Vijnana, both are there. So that time onwards, so that Veda Upanishad called Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad. So there is everything, there is a reason in why it is called Taittiriya Upanishad. Why not something else? So it was called Taittiriya Upanishad because the disciples have become took bird form and ate that vomit. So then on it became Taittiriya Upanishad. So sometime if you come late, you miss the information. Like for example, our Dvija Prabhu is not able to understand what is this vomit. Right? So he only gave you half information because he's away. So Hare will educate him. Hare is the one who can retrieve the knowledge. Correct? Hare, when the Veda was stolen by the demons, what is the appearance of Hare is to appear and go and retrieve the Veda and present it to devotees like Dvija Prabhu and others who can also understand because they missed the time. Okay? So this is, in this Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, there is very clear discussion on what is food, what is this prana, what is this mind, and what is this jnana, what is this vijnana, what is this bliss, what is this soul. When we say this body, what is body? When we are born, this little baby. Now we are so big. What is this? Simply food, isn't it? We say earth. We are not eating mud directly. We are eating the food. Ultimately, the food only. The food that we are consuming, Mahaprasada, Prasada, we are consuming, that becomes blood, that becomes flesh. That's why we are growing or we are maintaining. So, food is Brahman. That's why we say Anna Lakshmi. Correct? We say this is the mercy of Radha Vallabha. We say honor this food because this mercy is coming to you. This is as good as Krishna. You are taking, that is Krishna. So, food is Brahman. Then of course when you go to food, you can go deeper level and start analyzing water and various things. So in this Taittiriya Upanishad, Prabhupada is referring to this understanding creation, maintenance and annihilation process and its connection with all other. So this understanding is very important. So those are very nicely explained here. So Brahman is the source of creation. Brahman is the source of maintenance. Brahman is the source of annihilation. So then finally, this what? Whatever is created, again goes back. There is one scientific principle. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. This is a science one principle is there. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It is there. It only transforms from different forms. Similarly, this whatever is created, whatever is maintained, and then again it goes back. Goes back to its source, that is Brahman. So that is Supreme Brahman, is Supreme Lord. We can realize this Brahman in, Brahmeti, like in three levels. Supreme Lord you can realize in three levels. One is the source of life, what we call Brahma Jyoti. Next, Paramatma. Next, Supreme Lord. So these few verses that we see, they are more and more focused on that process. Then of course in this Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a nice discussion on, this outward analysis and inward analysis. So we say, okay, here is the body, we are able to see, this is my hand, my leg and all, good. Then we also see there is something called what we call subtle body. One is the physical body, we are seeing the gross body. Then is the subtle body. So what is subtle body? Say like this mind, intelligence. Intelligence is not like, oh, can I purchase 1 kg of intelligence from the shop? I can't. Correct? So this is the intelligence and this mind and the ego. We say ego. Where is this ego? If there is a way to extract ego from a person, I could have done it. But it's difficult. This is a subtle. That is ego, intelligence and mind. Then of course, so all of this, whether it is a subtle body or a gross body, they all are powered, the living force, that is Atma, whatever left over. Then of course, this Atma, what is the size? What is this Atma? Krishna says Atma is eternal, you can't kill that Atma, eternal. Just like Paramatma, Sat Chit Ananda, Sat, eternity, Chit, full of knowledge, Ananda, full of bliss. This Satchitananda refers to Supreme Lord and also to the tiny living entity. So of course the quantity is different. Now coming to this, what is the quantity of this this Atma? So again for that we have to refer to Veda. So even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that verse is included there. So it says, sometimes you see some hairs particle, here and there. There is one. So if you do search in the temple, you will see some long hairs, small hairs. Correct? Those who do cleaning, they know this very well. So hair you take. Then, the diameter of hair is how much? So if you say this one, diameter, this diameter is how much? So maybe something like, say 1 centimeter, correct? The hair will be how much? Not even one millicentimeter. You divide this into 10, and then further divide it into 10. Correct? Then hair will be very tiny, 0.01 millimeter. So now the size of this hair is, the soul is, you divide that hair into 100 times, first division. Then you take one of the part, again divide into 100. That means a hair diameter that you divide into 1 divided by 10,000 times. Then you see a smallest. It is not visible to our eye, gross eye. And that is the soul. That is the spiritual spark. Usually this will say, this person's spiritual spark is left. Nobody able to see. Only those divine personalities can see. So with our gross senses, impure senses, we won't be able to see it also, even if the soul passes away. Only those with the divine personality, they can see. And those persons even have the ability to bring back the soul also. In Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there were various stories. A boy born to a king, then immediately died. At that time, Narada Muni appeared and the king requested, please help me retrieve my son back. So with his divine power, he is able to bring back that soul and put there temporarily, so that the boy can speak. So only those divine personalities can see soul. Correct? So just like expert person, gold expert can see, here is the gold, I can extract this way, gold from there. Similarly, the expert spiritualist, because he is expert in spirituality, like expert in body. If you have got some, cut here, whom do you go? You go to a person who is trained in the body. That's what you call medical doctor. He can say, looks like you broke this finger, and there is a small, then I have to tie it to your hand like Hayagreva. Correct? Did you break somewhere? Yeah. So if you come to me, I won't be able to help you. But you have to go to a person who is a medical doctor. He will say, okay, here is some bone slip. So now I will put back, but you can't run around. I will put it a casting here around. So you keep casting for 3 months, then you will be okay. That is the expert, medical expert. Similarly, you go to a spiritual expert. Spiritual expert will tell you where the soul is. He is expert in that area. So that expert is sober and expert person. They should analyze this and understand. So this is very, very important. You can see that is small particle. And this small particle is in relation with Supreme Lord. As Sri Krishna says, Maya amse jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. All these real living forces, Atmas, are actually part and parcel of me. So just like Supreme Lord is Satchidananda, we should also be Satchidananda. So those are very nicely explained. Okay, so you can see that throughout this Prabhupada purport and is saying that if you are a sober person and intelligent, try to understand who you are. Are you really a body? Are you really something else? If you find that something else, that you please cultivate it. How do you cultivate? Through Sevan Mukhi Jivado. Through bhakti process. Bhakti process by using your senses only. This body is given. This body is the vehicle. You have to use it for realizing your divinity. Again, we can't take help of something else. Again, this body. So body has tongue. So let us use this tongue. What can we do with tongue? Tongue want to speak. Vibrate, correct? So now, you can also use this tongue to speak. Even if you before speak about Lord glory, just chant holy name. So just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is the one function of tongue. What else it can do? It can eat, taste. So what do? So you taste prasada. Prasada, the food that we prepare, offer it to Krishna, then become a simple prasada and eat that one. And if you can do these two seva, use the tongue in chanting and feasting. And this is the start of spirituality. And soon you will become expert to be able to know what is truly that soul is, what is truly the super soul is, and what is the connection. And you will become so much mad after understanding this, and finally you go back to Vaikuntha Loka. Ultimately, there is the goal of everybody. So this verse is very important, that whatever brain we got, do some research, do some investigation on the soul through this process, analytical process. Through that process, you try to understand who is the creator, what is this maintenance, what is this deduction, who is responsible. Then you know about that person. And then when you know about that person, you become so much conscious of that person that even when you are leaving this body, at that time you are still thinking about that person, therefore you go back to the person whom you are thinking about. If you are thinking about Supreme Lord, who is the source of Brahman, who is the source of all in existence, therefore you go back to Vaikuntha Loka, and the purpose of having the human body is fulfilled. Otherwise, Punarapi Maranam, Puranapi Janaram, Jatari Sayanam. Again appear, again disappear, this cycle will go. You might appear in the body, yoni of a dog, or a cat, or a human, or any of those. Correct? Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So that will go on. So better cut that cycle, then develop that true consciousness, do that research and go back to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what even the greatest scientists have done. Often we talk about small scientists, that's the problem. We talk about, Dr. frogs, small frogs. Think about the big frog. Think about the greatest scientists. They were not atheists. So give them some credit. So this, we don't need to blame this mobile phone operator, inventor, because we can appreciate him. We are using that mobile phone to broadcast this glory of Supreme Lord. And that person says, become divine conscious. And of course, if you search for Steve Jobs, Stanford University. You know Stanford University? It is one of the world top university. During graduation lecture, not his graduation, other people are graduating, and these people are not graduated, like this Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they are not graduated. But they have done, accomplished greater things in their life, materially, also spiritually. They were invited to speak, inspire the next software engineers, next graduates. So there he said, the best thing that happened in my life is that I was able to go to Hare Krishna temple, get a nice prasada. So these are all connected. So some of the greatest engineers, the greatest scientists were Krishna consciousness because of their highest understanding. Yeah. So it's very, very important. That is why the search, expert, we need expert person. Otherwise, other people simply confuse you and confuse themselves and confuse us also. So becoming truly expert in material energy, also spiritual energy. Both. This is talking about both, that creation, maintenance, destruction, understanding is material energy, then the spirit soul is the spiritual energy, and having that understanding, your life will become successful. With that, let me stop here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I agree. Any question? All clear? Next time engage in Krishna service so that you don't break other hand. Maintain it. This is the gift given by Radha Vallabha to you. You have to use it for his service, just like your father. What is Kripasiddhu doing on Saturday? He is using his energy to make breast upma, so that he pleases all other devotees. And by pleasing devotee, of course, he indirectly pleases all Krishna. Like that, you also can use. Any question? Okay, if there are no question, enjoy prasad waiting. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to turn on the light.